All right, what is going on, everyone? I am ND Sean 45, joined by Ryan from Week Zero Productions. This is the Thursday night Notre Dame Football Power Hour. Ryan, welcome back for another week, my friend.
Thanks, man. It's always a pleasure.
So now, earlier this week on Sunday, Ben and I did our preview for the this week's Shamrock series against Brigham Young. Nice little off week, chance to heal up, rest, and get ready for the next hurdle ahead. Now, before we go any further, Ryan, Ben and I gave our predictions on this week's game. Wasn't met. Our predictions weren't met too well by a couple people, as you can see on the video in the comment section. But let's hear what you have to say. What's your thoughts on the Shamrock series against Brigham Young this week in Las Vegas?
I do with my podcast that I do. I have a guy on there who's an Oregon fan. So I'm kind of, all week talking to him like, hey, what are your thoughts on BYU? You guys played them. It wasn't close. You guys dominated them. They made Bo Nix look like a Heisman candidate. And we all know Bo Nix is not – he's a good quarterback, but he's not the best. So their run defense is pretty bad, which fits Notre Dame's strengths. They're not as bad as North Carolina. I don't think anybody's as bad as North Carolina defensively. The thing with them is that I've watched them the last couple of weeks, the Oregon game, the Utah State game, and the Wyoming game. All three games, they came out struggling early on in the first half. They were battling with a Utah State team that got blown out 35-7 by Weber State, who is one of the worst FCS programs in the country. I know it's a rivalry game, and that means something in college football, but Utah State is really bad. And Utah State ran for over 200 yards rushing against them. So if they can do that, I think Notre Dame can easily run for another 200 like they did last week. So my prediction for this game, and I've been kind of saying it all week, Notre Dame by 14. I think it'll be kind of a game that, starts sluggish, kind of like we've had Notre Dame BYU games in the past where it's a dogfight. But I think Notre Dame pulls away late to make it look better than it actually was of a win. But I think they win by 14. I think it's a comfortable win.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I kind of went a little bold in my prediction, and I said that we would win 40-17. And yeah, that may sound out there because as mentioned in our preview, we've only had 1.5 games of really good Notre Dame football this year so far. We're on a roll for a game and a half, and I just made that prediction, and I stand by it. And I think just the win over North Carolina is what helped propel us to this next step, and I think we're going to show it on the field come Saturday out in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I will say this though, and I kind of learned this week. BYU, the first 4 games of the season have been without their top 2 wide receivers from last year, Puka Nacua and Gunnar Romney. Those 2 guys to them are like what Michael Mayer and Lorenzo Styles are for us.
Yeah.
So they've been playing the first 4 games without those guys. Both of those guys are returning for the Notre Dame game. Puka Nacua was up for an award to be the best wide receiver in the Pac-12 last year, and then he transferred to BYU this year. He is a guy that if he was at Notre Dame right now would be our number 1 receiver. So it's not like they don't have weapons. So take that into account as well. But like I said, BYU also has not faced a defense like Notre Dame's. Statistically, Notre Dame will be the best defense far and away that BYU has faced this year. And I think that shows this game.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because one of the comments that we had on our preview for this game is, of course, people think that we were on drugs or drunk or whatever when we said this. But, well, Ben said actually the same thing you just did, that this is the best defense that BYU will see all year. And well, one guy said, "Well, gee, look at what we did. Look at what our defense did to Oregon." I'm like, "You guys lost to Oregon."
They gave up 3 rushing touchdowns to a quarterback.
Yeah. Okay. We've seen Oregon's defense, and and look what they did to you.
Oregon's defense is not that good. Let me tell you that they're not that good. Look what they did to Georgia. I understand that's Georgia, but look what Georgia's done the last couple weeks offensively. So I don't know. I think BYU is a good team. I'm not going to take anything away from BYU. They did beat Baylor, who is the defending Big 12 champs. That's a
Yes.
great quality win. BYU is a good team. They might be a top 25 team at the end of the year. I just don't think they're as good as the number 16 team in the country right now. I just don't. I think Notre Dame should have the better athletes and should just be able to manhandle BYU on the line of scrimmage all game. If we can't, that's a big issue. That is a big issue if we can't. But, we were saying the same thing about Marshall too. So you never know.
Well, and all I know is I think it's safe to say that that Marshall game kind of goes back to what we were talking about last week when we were discussing the first 2 games and what was going on. And I think maybe it was just an offensive line problem. Not that that's the sole factor. I mean, I still think there was some growing pains in there with Tyler Buckner when he was still healthy and playing quarterback. I think there was some problems with Tommy Rees in the play calling. But overall, I think the biggest factor, it turned out to be an offensive line problem. And we were just there was no protection. Buckner couldn't stay comfortable, and well, the rest is history. It's a trickle down effect.
Yeah, and like I said, BYU is a good team. I think they're overrated. I've been saying it all year, especially after that Oregon loss. But like I said, this game could be. I would not be surprised if this was a close game, or with how inconsistent Notre Dame has been this year, if BYU won this game. But
I still wouldn't put anything past them. No.
yeah, but I think Notre Dame should easily have this one in the bag. So
yeah,
I'm already calling Audric Estime is going to have another 100-yard rushing day. So.
Oh man, the way he's been running lately, it's like watching Jerome Bettis all over.
Oh, I don't know if you've seen the picture of him when he was doing his interview this week for the press conference. You want to see the definition of shoulder boulders? That's what that kid has. That dude literally has boulders as his shoulders.
Yeah, he's a monster. He's a monster. I mean, when you see these guys, I mean, he has an NFL body already, dude.
And he's only a sophomore. Which, I mean, but
he's ahead of schedule, that's for sure. So, all right, guys, here's just before we go any further, to let everybody who's watching, all 4 of you, hopefully we get some more that come in later. We're going to talk for about the first, 30 minutes or so. Then we'll start answering questions and comments. So with that said, Ryan, now that we got your opinion on the BYU game complete, let's talk about the breaking news that happened today, and that is the announcement of defensive lineman Jacob Lacey announced that he is leaving Notre Dame and going to enter the transfer portal along with taking a red shirt this year. I was really shocked when I first saw that, especially after the game that he had against North Carolina and Cal, and he really seemed to come out of his shell a little bit and get to form. So I just after that performance against Cal in particular, I don't see why he'd want to leave. But of course, as we've said before, every kid that does this, they have their reasons for one thing or another.
Yeah, and it looks like for him, it was just more of, he had that breakout game against Cal. He was one of the few guys on that D-line that was getting pressure on the quarterback consistently. He had 2 sacks against Cal. Really probably should have had 4 if Jack Plummer doesn't get out of the – actually, if the Notre Dame defense doesn't make Jack Plummer look like Lamar Jackson for most of that game. But it was just more of like for him, what it sounds like is he had that breakout game against Cal, and then had another really solid performance against North Carolina with probably a third of the snaps and the opportunities that he had in the Cal game. And I think it was just more, he already played for 4 games. He had that COVID year. Um, he had a red shirt, so he decided to, leave because he wasn't getting the playing time. Um, he said it himself a couple days ago that Notre Dame has such great defensive line depth that there are 10 or 12 guys on that D line, DNs, D linemen, whatever, that can come in and they play just as good, if not better, than the guy ahead of them. So I
Well,
think that was a big factor.
well, and to add on to that point, I have it right up here in front of me that showed that Gabriel Rubio he saw 14 snaps against North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's definitely a lot of guys on this depth chart that can see significant playing time, and I'm thinking maybe it was just it was I think it was a depth issue.
I think you had when you have too many hens in the house, you can't expect one to not want to leave. And that's a good problem for Notre Dame to have. It really is. I mean, Notre Dame wants to be the Alabama, the Clemsons, or the Georgias of the world. Those teams have it happen all the time. How many 4-star guys do you see go to Alabama or Georgia or Clemson for a year or two and then transfer out because they're not getting playing time? Guess what? They just get replaced by another good 4-star or 5-star guy. It's just
Yeah,
what happens when you're recruiting at that elite of a level.
yeah, and we've seen that a lot the past 12 years or so with Notre Dame, and just how even though Brian Kelly, as I said last week, he did a crappy job on it, got lazy with the recruiting. We were still getting the talent here, and you were seeing that, especially with tight end and on various defensive positions, next man up, and the last 12 years have been a perfect example of that.
I think you also got to give credit to Marcus Freeman because one of the biggest knocks on Notre Dame, and one of the reasons I believe we couldn't hang with Clemson and Alabama in the playoff, was because Brian Kelly had this kind of way of style of playing guys that, when we had Julian Aquara and Romeo on the same team, or not on the same team, but Julian and um,
Julian Love.
no, Julian Aquara. It was
Oh yeah,
Julian
yeah,
Love
Julian
and
Aquara.
Khalid Kareem.
Yes, Khalid
Brian
Kareem.
Kelly did not let those guys get any rest. We didn't rotate guys like we do now. Marcus
Oh yeah.
Freeman said that if you're going to play and you're going to win games against big time teams, you got to have depth. You get depth by letting guys get playing time and not getting guys tired. How many times when we're playing Clemson or Alabama are we holding them down offensively the best we can? And then as the game goes on, our defense gets tired because we don't have depth. We don't have guys that can rotate. So I think, like I said, it's a good issue to have. I like what Marcus Freeman's doing with the rotating guys. We don't have the same guys in every single series. And hey, Benjamin Morrison just won the starting cornerback job this year as a true freshman. So if that doesn't speak volumes about what Marcus Freeman is doing, developing these young guys as soon as they get in, I don't know.
No, that says a lot. That says a lot. I mean, we're starting to see a lot more of that. A lot more freshmen getting the starting role. I mean,
You never used to see that at Notre Dame. You never used to see
no,
true freshmen starting at Notre Dame.
no, and I'm sure there's a lot more than just this, but the one that stood out to me long before all these recent guys, and I'm sure there's plenty that I'm missing, but before this, what we're seeing but what we're seeing now, the last true freshman that I remember starting, well, technically two, Jimmy Clausen, he was a true freshman when he took over the starting role at quarterback, and then Michael Floyd,
Mm-hmm.
he took over the starting role as well as a true freshman.
But I mean,
I could be wrong about that actually, but I'm pretty sure he did.
Brian Kelly, you would never see him put a true freshman out there, even if the guy was good. I mean, Benjamin Morrison just straight out beat Clarence Lewis and Cam Hart for that starting
Yeah.
job. And Cam Hart is a certified NFL prospect.
Yes.
So that tells you how good this kid is.
No, he's good. I mean, he's had some problems this year, but he's been good. He's had a lot of good moments as well.
Mm-hmm.
But
So
there's always room for improvement. He's still a young guy, and but no, clearly Coach Freeman's letting the kids play, the ones that are proving themselves, which I still don't understand.
the
Tobias
Tobias
Merriweather.
Merriweather. Yeah.
Yeah, we're on the same
That's
page. We're on the same page. I still would like to know what's going on behind the scenes with
Oh,
that.
you would not like to. Did you hear what Tommy Rees said in his press conference this week?
I have not had a chance to watch the press
Oh,
conference,
it's
unfortunately.
not the best
I'm very
answer.
busy.
Not the best answer. They asked him about Tobias this week, and he said the same thing. He's got to do more to earn the coach's trust to get more playing time. They were going to get him in the North Carolina game. They had the week leading up to the North Carolina game, they were practicing and trying to implement a specific offensive package just for Tobias Merriweather to get involved, just for Tommy Rees not to use it against North Carolina.
Oh, good Lord. Come on. Let's stop this nonsense.
And he said, "Oh, it was the game flow. We didn't get a chance to get him in."
Oh, bull crap.
You guys were up 45-20. You don't have time to get him in? Like, come on, man. That is not a good answer as a coach. And then if
No.
you're wasting practice time implementing a package for a kid that you're not going to use, are you really using your practice time really good?
If you're not careful, this is going to be another guy who transfers out.
Exactly. And it makes me more mad because all throughout fall camp, all we heard was the coaching staff rave about how good this kid is, how he might be the best wide receiver in the wide receiver room this year. And
There's
you don't play him?
there's got to be something else going on. It's not just something on the practice field. I mean, if he's doing something that he shouldn't be, like behavior issues or not going to class or something like that, then I think that needs to be made a little more clear.
Mm-hmm.
But
Instead of
I'm
more like,
not saying it is that.
uh-huh.
But if there's something else going on, then I think we need to know that, because he has seen the field for a couple snaps, but nothing significant.
You can't tell me that he can't go out there and at least run routes. I mean, you can't tell me he can't at least do that. A wide receiver who plays middle school football could go out there and run a route that you tell him to run. So I don't know.
Oh,
But
my high school team, we didn't pass a whole lot, but we still had guys go out there and run routes.
you don't need to know the playbook. Just go run a slant. Just
Yeah.
go run a slant, man.
Yeah, or a post pattern. Anyone can run a post pattern. I could run a post pattern. It'd be a slow post pattern, but I could do it.
It's just, oh man.
I just don't understand it, and this kid has to see the field. I've been saying it all year so far.
I mean, he is the typical Notre Dame wide receiver. This kid is 6'4" as a freshman. I mean, with the deep ball issues we've had this year, I mean, like I said, I don't understand it either. I really don't.
Yeah. I know we were saving comments till just about the end here, but I got to show this one now. This guy says that you sound like Steve-O. Thoughts on that? Care to comment on that?
I really don't know what to say to that, man, but thanks.
Yeah, who knows? I didn't expect to hear that one tonight.
Yeah.
So, all right, moving ahead. Let's talk a little recruiting news. I know that was something that you really wanted to talk about. So you sent me something that I checked out too. A couple things. 4-star wide receiver Tayshawn Lyons, and he had this tweet today that says, "Never thought I'd be in this position. Thank you to all who have recruited me to this point. With the acceptance of some, these will be the schools I will be focusing on going forward. Praise to the Lord above." So he has 8 teams listed in his picture. I'm sorry, guys, I don't have it downloaded, but Arizona State, Penn State, Utah, Michigan State, Oregon, Miami, Washington, and the Fighting Irish. So I've been trying to get a vibe on that, and part of me is not sure what to think at this point. But if we could land this kid, of course, that'd be, we need receivers in the receiving room right now.
Mm-hmm. And he right now he would if he commits to Notre Dame, he would be our fourth best wide receiver in the class, which says a lot because at least on three, which is I think is the most accurate. I used to look at 24/7, but now it's kind of I think on three is pretty accurate because it takes all four major recruiting sites and averages it out. On three has him as the number 19 wide receiver in the class of 2023. So when the 19th best wide receiver in the class is your fourth best wide receiver in the class, that says a lot about your class. Um, he's really good. He's a California kid. He's kind of blossoming late in his career. He wasn't a highly touted recruit, and then all of a sudden, the first couple games of his senior season, he's breaking multiple California wide receiver records in high school. On the verge of maybe being California Gatorade Player of the Year. He's averaging 3 touchdown catches a game. I know it's high school, but that's still crazy.
Yeah.
I think if I remember correctly, he had 400 yards receiving in one game this year. So he's really good, and he might be one of those guys that's like a lot of people kind of slept on him, and now he's kind of coming into his own. The recent weeks, Michigan State, Oregon, North Carolina, a bunch of other big time programs have reached out to him and offered him. So, I mean, even Alabama is trying to get him to come for a visit. They haven't offered him yet, but anytime Nick Saban comes calling, that means that tells how good of a player you are.
Oh, that's a big
So,
time compliment.
I mean, right now Notre Dame, he's a heavy Notre Dame lean from everything I've seen, and a lot of people putting predictions for him to land at Notre Dame. He's expected to make a decision at the end of October. He said he would like to make the decision on October 28th. So he just wants to go take a few more visits. The only visit he's got left is to Michigan State, which I think is in a couple weeks. So once he's done with that, then that's when he said he's ready to make his decision. But like I said, Notre Dame and Washington are the two teams that seem like they have the most likely chance of landing him. But everybody thinks he's in big Notre Dame lean. So
DJ,
if he ends up at BC,
something's wrong if he ends up at BC.
BC. But yeah, he's like I said. You watch highlights of this kid. He kind of reminds me of Jerry Jeudy from Alabama. Really great route runner. Really, he's not the fastest guy in the world, but he's a masterclass at route running and getting free, which is what Notre Dame needs right now, which is what they need. So,
well, and like we've been talking about, we have a guy, Tobias Merriweather, who can get that done, and Lorenzo Styles has showed that he can get it done too, but we need more of them. So, but we got to play these guys, and if Tayshawn Lyons commits to us, then same needs to happen with him.
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it'll be interesting to follow this kid's recruiting and see what happens with him, and if he's a lean towards us, that's great. It's always great to have that momentum in recruiting with a top talent. But of course, myself personally, I can't speak for you or anybody else here, but I keep myself grounded when it comes to these recruits because we've seen it with Keeley already, Keon Keeley. Long time commit to us, but then he backs out at the end. And so I don't get excited until these
Penn hits paper.
Yeah, Penn hits paper. Penn hits paper, and that kid is there on campus, whether it be early signing period or on National Signing Day. But speaking of that, since I brought up Keon Keeley, what's your opinion on Peyton Bowen? Like I don't know if those guys are friends or what the deal is, but there was like a connection between those two. And so far, Bowen is still on board with us because there was talk that he was going to join Keeley at Alabama or wherever Keeley goes. I should say.
So the thing with Bowen, and I didn't see too much about that, but the thing with Bowen is it seems more like he's just a kid that likes the recruiting process, and him and his brother are both being recruited by the same schools. So, and how their dynamic works is Peyton is the big 5-star guy. His brother Eli is a 4-star guy that is a safety as well. And they both would prefer to go to the same school together, play together. Um, and their dynamic is if Peyton has an official visit, Eli goes with. If Eli has an official visit, then Peyton goes with him. So it's more of, hey, I'm 17 years old. I'm getting, treated like a king at Oklahoma or A&M or at Notre Dame. I'm just enjoying being recruited and taking advantage of it while I can. So it seems more like with him that he's going to stick with Notre Dame. He's just having fun with it. He hasn't taken official visits since Notre Dame. He will be at Notre Dame with his brother for the Clemson game. That's definitely set up. But he's told Oklahoma and A&M that he's staying away from the official visits. If he wants to go up there and watch a game, he's only less than an hour away from each of them. So it's on his dime. So, he goes up to, he was at Oklahoma, I think, for the Texas game. Or not for the Texas game. He will be at Oklahoma for the Texas game this week. And I believe he was at A&M for, I want to say, the Sam Houston State game. So he's been there, but it's not official. It's on his dime. He's driving up there, paying gas to go.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because something else with recruiting that does say a lot to me are these guys who do take the unofficial visits and pay their own way there. That shows like, hey, I'm going to give this team a serious look. And that's something that does speak volumes to me, because it's like you're not being pampered with, you're not being, you're not having your ass kissed is what I'm getting at. You're making the decision to go there yourself, see the place out for yourself, and really truly make an informed decision. Not saying that the official guys don't, but I just think there's less fanfare with the unofficials.
I will also say on note to that, so I was wrong. The visit that he's taking with his brother to Clemson for the Clemson game to Notre Dame is not an official either. It's a unofficial. So, and Peyton said that's going to be a 4-day trip. So him, his brother, and his mom and dad will be in South Bend on campus from Thursday afternoon till Sunday afternoon. So, and that's going to be all on their dime. So, if that doesn't say something, that's the first time he's ever done that. Most of the time, his unofficials to A&M and Oklahoma were go see the game, talk to the coaches, say hi, and then leave. So
it sounds like they're going to check out the whole area.
Mm-hmm. But like Bowen was interviewed this past weekend during the bye, because Freeman and everybody went down there to go see him. And Bowen said, I'm still committed. I am still 100% committed to Notre Dame. Nothing has changed in that. I'm just enjoying the recruiting process. I just want to make sure that when I commit somewhere, in case something huge happens, quote unquote huge, I'm not stuck. So that's what, quote for quote, what he said. So take whatever he thinks is something big happening, that's up to, interpretation, whether that be an NIL deal, a coach being fired, a la Jimbo. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to see, but I feel like it's probably 60-40 he sticks with Notre Dame right now.
He's highly coveted. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, so and he even said, he's like, I like being treated like I'm important to these schools. For a 17-year-old kid, that I'm sure that's a blast.
Yeah.
To be, everybody wants you, everybody tells you you're amazing and all this stuff, and he's just enjoying it. So if I'm Notre Dame fans right now, I wouldn't panic. I don't think it's a Keon Keeley situation where he's completely out the door already. I think just let him enjoy his recruiting process, and we'll see where we end up on National Signing Day. So,
yeah, that makes sense to do that, and that's a good way to look at it. But we were talking earlier about some other recruits, and I know this is pretty much a recruiting show because that's been a lot. There's been a lot of news with the recruits, but We know we were talking about Jeremiah Love earlier on, 4-star running back, depending on which site you look at. It sounds like he's strongly leaning towards Notre Dame, and I've been keeping tabs on this kid's recruiting trail too, and he would be. It would be amazing if we landed him. I mean, it'd be amazing if we landed any of these guys, but I'm just saying, with running back and building up that running back core, even stronger than what it is right now. I mean, holy cow.
Well, we got some news on him. He said he expects to make a decision by the end of October as well. So him and Tayshawn Lyons both expect to make decisions this month, which could be a huge month for Notre Dame recruiting. We seem to lose some momentum in September. That it's been weird with Love because, like I had told you guys a week ago, everyone Notre Dame reporters saying, "No, he's trending away from Notre Dame. He's a big Texas A&M lean now," and then it's just weird. Literally, like a day after that report came out, Love started liking a bunch of Notre Dame tweets from Notre Dame fans saying, "Can't wait to watch Love come to Notre Dame and be the next Heisman Trophy winner." He liked a tweet saying, "Can't wait to see Love in the blue and gold." He liked another one where "Come home" with the shamrock in the middle for the O. So, and then now the reporters are saying, "Oh, he's a heavy Notre Dame lean." So with him, it's kind of been a back and forth. But what we do know is it's down to Notre Dame and A&M. So that's where we are right now, and that's who he's going to end up picking between when it comes down to the end of October. So this is a huge time for Notre Dame to go on a winning streak.
Oh yeah,
A&M is down bad right now after the shellacking they took from Mississippi State. If Notre Dame can just rattle off a win against BYU, a win against Stanford, which Jeremiah Love is going to be on um, an official visit to Notre Dame for the Stanford game. So he'll be there, which will be huge to win that game as well. Then maybe a lot of people think that if Notre Dame can play well against Stanford, win that game, Love has a good time, then they think that they can wrap up the recruitment right there. So,
well, and also I think too, and I know it's one hurdle at a time, but if we could run the table and win these last 8 games and go 10-2, win a New Year's Six bowl, oh Lord, would that do wonders for our recruiting momentum?
oh, you know, and you know what? That would be the even better recruiting pitch. It's like we went 10-2, we struggled early on in the season, but that's what we need you for. We
Yeah,
need you for the early season slumps that we might face. So, I mean, and I will say this. So, one of the guys that I follow, Mike Singer, he's been working at Blue and Gold for a while. That's where I get most of my recruiting news. He's a really good insider. 95% of his picks for projected crystal balls for kids to go to Notre Dame are right. So he knows what he's talking about. He said he can't say names right now because the Notre Dame coaching staff kind of wants to keep it under wraps.
right.
They have 2 legit quarterback prospects for the class of 2023 that are huge possible flips to Notre Dame. They
Really?
are both top 10 quarterback recruits in the class of 2023.
Now, just a hunch. I mean, could one of them be committed to Oregon right now?
It doesn't sound like it's Dante Moore, but I will say one of them is committed to Kansas State right now. The other one is committed to Oklahoma.
Okay.
So take that for what you will. Since we're not saying names
I know,
because
and also it's talk too. It's just talk.
yeah,
I mean,
but
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 there's some
he
pretty credible sources too. I mean,
yeah.
let's not kid ourselves.
So and also Mike Singer did say that October is going to be a huge recruiting month for Notre Dame, and for Notre Dame fans to expect big things. So
Yeah. Oh,
Hey, I mean, a quarterback recruit, Tayshawn Lyons and Jeremiah Love. That's would be a pretty good month. I'd be satisfied with that.
yeah, very much so. Great, very much so. A great free agent signing. Excuse me, a great free agent period for sure. Because that's what college football's like
Yeah, it's
now.
basically what it is now.
Um,
Um,
so a couple more guys to talk about before I forget. We have also have athlete Brandon Hillman. Now I'm just curious with excuse me, with his size, do you think he'd likely be a receiver?
so with him, the Notre Dame coaching staff told him that they're going to try him out at quarterback, receiver, and safety. So he's going to be even running back as well. He's kind of like an Avery Davis. You know,
Yeah,
Avery Davis was recruited as a quarterback. He was a quarterback his freshman year. I think he played defense, offense, defense. Then he ended up being a receiver his last couple years. So they look at him as that kind of prospect. He is actually one of the fastest recruits, 40 time wise, in his class. The thing with him is he's a 3-star kid, but that's mainly because he plays in Virginia at a small school. He doesn't get too many he is not like these high profile guys that play at
right.
big time schools. He doesn't get looked at a lot, but what says something about him, kind of like Lions, is he's a late riser. Notre Dame offered him last week. Right after Notre Dame offered him, Virginia Tech offered him, Virginia, North Carolina, Michigan State, Tennessee. So he's definitely climbing. Before Notre Dame offered him, his only offer was Norfolk State. So he's I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's a 3-star, he's going to be a body. I wouldn't say that. I would not say that.
People don't get it with these 3 stars that these are the guys that can be your difference makers. These are the guys that come in and make the big plays when you need them. You know, the ones that you would least expect. So don't be dogging on these 3-star guys because they can be big time difference makers.
People forget Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah was a 3-star. I mean, he was not a high profile guy. Um, let's see. Julian Love was not a 4-star guy. He was borderline 4-star, but that wasn't until he later on in his high school career. He was one of the maybe the best Notre Dame cornerback in the last 10 years. Um, so like you said, 3 stars don't mean anything. Um, look, I mean, if you want to look at the outside realm of college football, look at Kansas right now. They're 5-0. Their team is built on 3 stars. Built on 3 stars. Their
Yeah.
quarterback is in the Heisman race, and he's a 3-star guy.
I gotta be honest though about that. I do think Kansas gets a wake up call coming up pretty soon.
I think they're legit though. I mean, I think they're gonna drop. They're gonna come back down to reality. But they beat some good teams. I mean,
Well, that's true. Mm-hmm.
Duke is 4-1. Iowa State has the best defense in the Big 12. Um, they have a big test. TCU this week will be the teller. So
Well, I'm sure a lot of fans at that school they're glad to be doing well
uh,
in
they're
both
glad to have
both
five wins. They're
yeah
glad
both
to have 5 wins.
yeah it's been a while since Kansas has been talked about in a positive manner when it comes to football.
Their coach. I seen I'm going on a little tangent here, but Lance Leipold, he's going to be a head coach at a big time program soon. He's just going to be. I mean, he won 12 national titles at Wisconsin Whitewater uh, at a D3 program, but that's still really impressive to do at any level of college football.
Oh yeah,
Um, Made Buffalo from the worst team in the MAC to taking them to a MAC championship in just 3 years. Now he's took a Kansas team that hasn't been ranked since 2009, hadn't had a Big 12 win since 2009, and took them last year. They went 2-10, and now they're 5-0. I mean, this guy has to be a head coach at some big time program. He just has to be.
Well, yeah, I
So
mean, when you're taking all these small programs and turning them around, I mean, that can't go unnoticed.
I
It
mean,
can't.
Kansas, especially Kansas, that has to be the hardest job in college football right now. Like just
Yeah.
in terms of winning. So,
Because I mean, I know obviously, Charlie Weiss, former Notre Dame head coach, he went and coached at Kansas for what was it, 2 years, I think,
mhm.
and he thought that his offensive mind could turn that program around, and it didn't. So it's a program that has been struggling for quite a while.
Their fans last year when Lance Leipold was the coach, Kansas lost, I want to say 5 games last year by less than a score, which was they beat Texas last year. They lost to Oklahoma by 1 score. Um, when he does his own radio show, kind of like how Marcus Freeman does for Notre Dame. He said he realized how much of a hole this program was in when fans were coming up to him after losses and saying, "Man, coach, it's so great to even be in these games. Great job. Keep up the good work. I just hope we can keep it within 21 next week." He said, "That's a problem." He said, "These
Yeah,
fans are celebrating losing close."
you don't want to
So,
do that. I mean, that's what I like about Marcus Freeman when he first got here, and we have 2 bad weeks to start his official tenure, and I'm talking like full season tenure, not just one bowl game.
mm-mm,
But he was pissed off, and he said, "No, no, no. There's no such thing as moral victories. It's the same thing with that situation at Kansas. You're playing to win. You're not playing to just be competitive."
mm-hmm. And
Oh.
well, how many times did we hear Brian Kelly say, "Well, that was I think the guys played really well." Yeah, it's like, man, you just got beat. Like, you obviously didn't play well enough.
No.
Otherwise, you would have won.
Oh boy.
So,
Yeah.
oh, my favorite, well, not my favorite, but the thing I hated most about BK when I started turning on him was that post game press conference after the playoff game against Clemson when we got beat 31-3. And he's sitting there saying, "Oh, these guys played tough. Clemson's just that good of a football team." It's like, man, you scored 3 points. You scored three. Come on.
I know. Oh, I know. I mean, I can understand coaches when you're in a tough spot. You just got beat bad. You have to say something, but come on, he could have done better than that.
Yeah, but I'm so glad Freeman is changing the culture. So,
Yeah, and one fan here says, speaking of that, just I know we're not on comments yet. We'll be there pretty soon, but I'll post this for now. He says I'm still having a hard time getting over the Marshall loss. Yeah, I think that still stings all of us, but we have to move on from it.
I've
I
been
mean,
telling people, the Marshall law stings. At least we're not Miami. At least we're not Miami. We're not Nebraska. I mean, I understand that's pretty low, but you know,
it is what it is.
it just is what it is. I mean, I don't know. Miami got completely their doors blown off by Middle Tennessee State. Middle Tennessee State turns around and gets blown out by UTSA. So every team in college football this year has had a close one or a loss to a team they shouldn't. I'm not defending that the loss to Marshall happened, but I honestly think Notre Dame finishes 10-2, at worst 9-3, and I think that people will start to, hey, that Marshall game was
Fluke.
one bad day, one bad game. They just came off an emotional loss to Ohio State. I think that's honestly what I think it was.
Yeah, I said the same thing. I think they took Marshall a little too lightly. Like, hey, if we can do to what we did at Ohio State, think of what we can do to Marshall. So they laxed a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that enough. They did, and um, it's funny though. I mean, yeah, when you do a channel like this and you talk football, your team gets beat by a team that you never thought they would get beat by. You get a lot of fans from that fan base coming and talking trash, which you
Notre Dame
expect.
lost to Tulsa. We lost to Tulsa like in what, 2009,
Yeah, 2010. It was
2010.
Kelly's first season.
So I mean, did Brian Kelly get all the heat that Marcus Freeman got for losing to Marshall? I don't remember correctly, but I don't think that BK got The
I
same
think,
amount of criticism.
and I think it was because the only reason that didn't happen is probably because we were like 8 games into the season at that point, something like that. And the season was we were already heading for a crap bowl. Well, there were no playoffs yet, but we were out of the BCS picture, national championship or the major bowl games. And so people were just like, screw it. Are we surprised? No. So that I think that's why they gave Kelly a pass in that situation.
I just think it's insane because Lou Holtz started his Notre Dame career 1-2. Brian Kelly started his Notre Dame career 1-3. Marcus Freeman has started his career 2-2. So give the man some slack.
Lou Holtz finished with a losing record his first season. He was 5-6.
Exactly.
Nope.
And he might be the best Notre Dame, like one of the best Notre Dame coaches of all time, maybe
Yeah.
the best. So
I don't know, Newt Rockney, man.
Newt Rock, yeah.
Ara Parsegian, Dan Devine won a national championship. Frank Leahy. I mean, but I would put Lou Holtz in there. I mean, you see the poster behind me.
Yep.
In the upper left-hand corner, all the greats.
I still love Lou, man.
But I will say one last thing about Marshall, and then we'll get to the comments here. I don't think I'm missing any topics, but I just got to say this with Marshall. We had so many fans after that game coming to give us crap, and rightfully so. But they were saying, you guys underestimate us. We have 4- and 5-star talent that transferred to us. I'm like, oh, really? How come you guys aren't in the top 25? How come you turn right around and
lost to an 0-3 Bowling Green team?
Bowling Green. Then I have their schedule up right here. I mean, they're 3-2. Okay, yeah, I'll give them that. They're over 500. But you lost to Bowling Green. You lost to Troy. And also Bowling Green, or never mind. That's I forget. We're still very early in the season yet. But yeah, you lost to Troy, which Troy made some noise last year. Don't get me wrong, or maybe it was the year before. I'm thinking, I don't know. But if you have all this 4- and 5-star talent that transferred to you, then why aren't you just blowing people out? So I digress. But anyway, I guess the only other topic we have to talk about is it's pretty cool to see that Manti Te'o's coming back to Notre Dame again, this time to be on the sidelines or in the broadcast booth, either or. So it's nice to see that things are dying down and people aren't giving him so much crap anymore about all that crap that happened 10 years ago.
Can I say really quick that
Yeah.
I would be all for Manti Te'o calling Notre Dame games? Like that guy, if you listen to him talk, he is so knowledgeable about football and he's so knowledgeable about life in general. Like I might be the only Notre Dame fan that didn't like the choice of Jack Collinsworth and
I don't like the
Jason
announced
Garrett.
team. I don't
I
like the announced team.
I don't. It's just I miss Mike Tirico, man.
Tirico was great, and even some of the guys in the past before him were pretty good.
I mean, I even like Drew Brees in the booth, and I know a lot of people felt weird because he's a Purdue guy and rivalry thing, but I
Well,
mean,
Pat, for the longest time, we had Tom Hammond and Pat Hayden as the announced team.
I seen
Pat Hayden is a USC alum.
Yeah, Notre Dame fans made a big deal about Drew Brees, or not all of us, but I seen some make a big deal. Oh, he's a Purdue quarterback. What are we doing having a Purdue quarterback calling games? But I don't know. I mean, I'd even rather have Tony Dungy at this point. I mean, it's just I I understand Jack has the history with his dad called Notre Dame games. I'm pretty sure his brother played at Notre Dame, Austin. It's just they don't do it for me, and it makes me feel mad. As like Notre Dame, you guys obviously had some sort of say who NBC put on the call, and you're Notre Dame. You're not like some small school or like the USFL that NBC gives their bottom tier guys to the USFL to call games because it's not the NFL.
Yeah, but that was still a lot of fun to watch, though.
It was, but I just you can't tell me you couldn't go out and get somebody big.
Right.
I mean, Notre Dame, all that money, NBC. I just hope it's just a 1-year thing. I really do.
Yeah, I hate saying it, but it hasn't been good so far. But anyway, let's get to the comments here. The first chunk are from the Golden Playbook. Some are just basic, which he's right on. Consistency is the key they have to keep. Yep. Play against the same way they did against North Carolina. I think that Notre Dame is the better team and has better defense in my eyes. The team is talented. You should write a book here, Golden Playbook. This team is talented. They need to keep being aggressive and finish the game with the same tempo. I know the college football committee will try to keep us out of the top 25 because we're Notre Dame. They don't like us. Yeah, that's true. But no, I'm telling you this right now, if we go 10-2, we run the table here. There's no way they can keep us out of the NY6.
I'm already saying right now, if we beat BYU, they're going to find some excuse for Notre Dame not to be ranked. There will be some excuse, and BYU will still get votes because that's just been the trend of this year.
Yeah.
Notre Dame beats a team and they still get votes.
Well, it's like we were saying, the committee can't get over the Marshall loss. That's what it is. But no, I mean, as it stands right now, no, they should. If we win this game, they should at least give us some votes. But anyway, well, Golden Playbook said that too.
Texas A&M, they forgot about the App State loss for Texas A&M.
Yeah. I think Marcus Freeman will be the coach to get us our first national championship since '88. I think he's the guy. The way his recruiting goes, he's getting those guys. He is changing the tempo. Then there was the Steve-O comment. Yeah. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me why you don't utilize your talent. That's what you would want. But for some reason they choose not to. Yeah, who knows? DJ Shepard, we talked about that at the start of about 10 minutes into the video, I guess. Yeah, Jacob Lacey is transferring. Lions is very underrated. I'm terrified that if we don't play Merriweather this year, the 23 wide receiver recruits might start having second thoughts. Notre Dame 2164, I agree with you. If these guys aren't seeing the field, then what does that say to the guys that are coming in?
The only reason I would disagree with that is the guys that we have recruited or are committed, Braylon James, Rico Flores, and Jaden Greathouse. All three of them have retweeted multiple times and tweeted out multiple times this season. They're 100% locked in, and that they're not going anywhere. And they private text each other all the time. They've actually nicknamed a group chat with all the wide receiver commits "Three-Headed Monster." So
nice.
So I think they're pretty locked in. So
yeah, no reason to panic just yet on them. DJ Shepard says, "Man, I'm just ready for a national championship." I think we all are.
I think we all are.
Unfortunately, it's not going to happen this year. If we were to go 10-2 and completely run the table, it's either the Orange Bowl or the Cotton Bowl. Because I know the Peach and the Fiesta, they're the semifinal bowls, and those are both at large versus at large. Then you have the Rose and Sugar, which have their conference tie-ins, and then the Orange Bowl is ACC against us, SEC, or Big Ten. And then the Cotton Bowl is at large versus at large. But technically, it's at large versus the highest ranked group of 5 team that doesn't make the playoffs.
So, and I will say this as well. If only it was 2024 and we had the 12-team playoff.
Yeah, we'd still be in the thick of things. But at this point, I'm not saying settle, but I would be satisfied with an NY6 bowl victory.
Yep.
It's been
too long.
It's 1994 Cotton Bowl. That's the last time. The Golden Playbook says, I hope CJ Carr doesn't decommit. I know we see this all the time when a player backs out and leaves, like Jamar Gibbs was at Georgia Tech, but left for Alabama. I think CJ is locked in.
Yeah.
I think he believes.
Out of anyone, I'd say, like, if you ranked the recruits based on how confident you think they are sticking at Notre Dame, I think number 1 would be Drac Bowen, and then number 2 would be CJ Carr. So I wouldn't worry about those two guys.
DJ Shepard and Golden Playbook both are talking about the same things here. I can't wait to see Carr light it up for the Irish. And then Playbook says DJ Shepard, I think he's going to be a national. Yeah, he has the potential, but of course we gotta see him on the field first. The collegiate level is a hell of a lot different from high school.
Some news on that, by the way. CJ Carr looks like he's not reclassifying. He's going to stay in the 2024 class since Notre Dame's looking to get a 2023 quarterback. So it'll be another year, Irish fans, till we get to see him. But
right, is that breaking news pretty much?
yeah, breaking news pretty much. I think he just his high school team is 6-0 right now, and he said he wants to win a state title before he graduates. So if he doesn't get it done this year, I don't see why he wouldn't want to come back and try to get that state title. So
that makes sense. And I don't know about that. I don't know about that. 2 or 3 times. I mean, Jim Brown won the Heisman twice, and it was tough enough to do that for him.
There's a reason why it hasn't been done in a long time.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see Brennan Vernon go to South Bend. The kid has turned himself into an absolute beast. Yeah, I brought his stats up earlier, or his numbers here: 6'5", 275 pounds, a defensive line commit. Holy cow! I would love to see that on our defensive line. DJ Shepard asks, do you think we will be ranked if we beat BYU this week? We just talked about that. It's hard to say. It just depends how the committee feels about it.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't even know if I would for sure put Notre Dame in at the top 25 just yet, because then at that point BYU would have 2 losses. And I think I wouldn't want to wait to see more from Notre Dame. But I definitely think Notre Dame will be ranked again this season. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, just keep winning. I'm not even sure how down the list we are as far as the ranking.
Not even in the top 46, I believe. So
now this I could see. Notre Dame will be so good eventually to the point where there will be Heisman contenders Okay, I could see contenders, but not winning the Heisman every year. Craig says I hope I think we're going to get CJ Carr. How long do you guys see Marcus Freeman staying with Notre Dame? Do you think he will be there until he retires? Do you guys think he will be there for 5 years at most? I don't know. That's a tough call. I got to see. I got to see at least 3 years of Marcus Freeman before I can officially determine that. That's my opinion. What's yours, Ryan?
I think he could be the next Dabo, where he stays at Notre Dame for the rest of his career. But he's also one of the youngest college football coaches in the country. So I would kind of stay away from anything like the rest of his career. But I think he stays at Notre Dame for a while.
Golden Playbook says, I think they should fire Tommy Rees after the season. I think if you want national championships, you need to get rid of him and get an elite offensive coach. And I don't think Tommy is good enough still.
I've been hearing rumblings. It's from credible people too, that if Notre Dame's season kind of doesn't go the way they want, the offense doesn't get things figured out the rest of the year, Notre Dame's heavily looking at the Ohio State offensive coordinator. So,
Hartline, is that his name? Mm-hmm. I saw that too. And we just hit the hour mark, so we got to get in these questions fast because I know you have your Broncos to watch. Craig Sebring says, I still think if Pine wins the rest of the games or finishes 9-3 and wins a bowl game, I say bye-bye to Buckner. I can't rule that out. I mean, anything's possible at this point. I'm not saying it's going to happen.
I don't like that. I've liked Buckner for a while. I think he's got the talent is there for him. I just don't think he's had enough of a chance, man. He played 1.5 games. It's too early to just be like, man, you can go. I mean, not CJ Carr. If Buckner leaves and he goes and plays amazing somewhere else, Notre Dame fans are going to be, why did we let him go? Why didn't we play it? He was a highly touted kid, so let's give him some time.
Yeah. He only started a game and a half. Or a game, I guess in this case, a game and 3 quarters, because that was pretty late in that Marshall game when he got hurt. Tommy wasn't a great quarterback, wasn't elite. He was terrible. Well, no, and he just look at how Tommy played. He was productive, but no, he was far from elite. We
He
all
was
know
Turnover Tommy. That was literally what the nickname for him was.
he couldn't outrun a cop. I'm sorry, I had to bring that up. Walter says Manti should be linebackers coach.
Oh, I would love that. Oh, I would love that. Oh man, that would actually, I would be okay with that hire. I would actually be okay with that.
Golden Playbook then says hire Manti Te'o as the new offensive coach, fire Tommy. And Manti's a defensive guy. I don't know why you'd put Manti Te'o as the offensive coordinator. Notre Dame 2164. Tommy has a lot to prove when it comes to developing his quarterbacks. Yeah, I agree. He's got to do a better job of that. Walter says, "Hey Ryan, just for mentioning Tony Dungy, let's go Colts."
Oh,
I guess from one horse team to another horse team.
We're the real horse team, man. We're the real horse team. You guys just have a horseshoe. It doesn't count.
We can't guarantee that, Walter. We have a lot of other people we're going to be meeting that day too, and it's going to be busy for us. But just don't hold us to any promises. We'll try. I hope DJ Shepard says, I hope Michigan gets beat soon. I think we all agree with that sentiment.
Overrated, in my opinion, but
yeah, they get to play UConn every week. Can't wait to see. Golden Playbook says, can't wait to see them wear those jerseys, the Shamrock Series jerseys. They look so badass. Can't wait to see them come out with. Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool.
It'd be cooler to see them win in those jerseys. So.
Yeah. Well, I know after that premiere or that video they made for it, they better win.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
And we've never lost a Shamrock Series game.
10-0. 10-0.
Since I'm taking my friend to the Notre Dame game for his birthday, I bought us each a jersey, and I'm getting both our last names put on the back. He will get okay. That's cool. That's really cool.
I was actually going to do that, and I was going to get a Buckner jersey, and then I kind of held myself up. I'm like, I don't know, because I was like, didn't know too much about how good Buckner was going to be. And I'm like, I'm going to hold off. I'm going to hold off buying a jersey.
See, that's why when it comes to jerseys, college or pro, I try to just get numbers and no names. The only way I get names is if it's a legendary player that, like, for example, I'm a Bears fan, so I have a Bears jersey. It's Walter Payton.
Mm.
He's a legend.
Well, it's like I got a Russell Wilson jersey just because he signed a 5-year contract. So.
Yeah, so he'll be there for a little bit. But I can't really get guys with names because guys come and go so much in the NFL and in college now too with the transfer portal.
I'm so mad. I have a Peyton Manning jersey and a Von Miller jersey, and both of those guys are gone. I'm like, man, I have to get me a new one, man.
Yeah, but Peyton Manning, he retired. It's not like he got traded to another team or just left.
Yeah, I still hate the fact that Von Miller is not a Bronco.
Well, that's the business side of the NFL, unfortunately.
Oh, man.
I guess the last comment that we have here from the Golden Playbook. I know he would be better on defense. Talking about Manti Te'o. I know he would be better on the defensive side of the ball because he played on defense. I want Manti to be a part of the staff. Of course.
You know what?
You got to put him in the right spot, though.
Even because let's just face it, James Laurinaitis is going to be gone after this year. We all kind of know that because a lot of people are going to want to hire him as like an assistant. Manti would be a great replacement. I mean, talk about an ambassador for Notre Dame, a guy that will go recruit for Notre Dame. What better guy than a guy that literally loves Notre Dame just as much as Notre Dame fans?
Yeah.
So,
minus the cancerous element, of course.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Well, I think that this is a good place to wrap it up. A little over an hour, but not too bad. You still got time to settle in and turn on.
I got about 10 minutes till kickoff, so let's just hope we don't choke like we did against the Raiders last week. So
you're not a Bears fan, so you don't have much to worry about.
Oh,
That Bears,
my whole family are Bears fans. So trust me, we all sit and comfort each other at the end of every week when both of our teams lose. So it's just
I swear to God, with you can talk about this across the whole NFL, but with the Chicago Bears, I swear to God, these coaches that they have in, it's almost like they're throwing games on purpose and doing stupid crap on purpose. Because I think, see, here's the thing: Luke Getsy. I know it's a transition year for the Bears, but I hear Luke Getsy, who's the quarterbacks coach for Green Bay, comes into Chicago to be our offensive coordinator. Where's this great offensive mind of his?
oh, I don't. It's the same thing with Hackett, man. It's the same thing.
The pizza guy.
No, it's my fiance. So she's
like,
knocking on the door. But
Ryan, get your ass off the computer. It's dinner time.
Hold on 1 second.
But I just okay. Yeah, we're gonna be closing up shop here pretty soon, guys. So we try to keep it strictly to an hour. That's what our goal is from here on out. Sometimes it'll work out, sometimes not, but whatever.
All right.
But no, I just was saying, it's like, are these guys making stupid decisions on purpose, or because I think right now these guys, and not necessarily Eberflus, but a lot of these guys are ruining Justin Fields right now.
Oh well, it's like I don't know if you've seen it because I know in Illinois you don't. Because I have an NFL Sunday ticket. That's how I'm able to watch all the Broncos games. But
no, I don't have that. I'm a Bears fan, and they're on every week anyway.
So Hackett, and I'm going to hurry up and try to get off. But
sure,
Hackett. My main thing with him is he's been an assistant for a long time. He's got this innovative offense that he was credited for getting Aaron Rodgers back-to-back MVPs. Supposed to do the same thing with Russell Wilson, and he's making Russell Wilson look like a statue. He's making Russell Wilson stay in the pocket when we all know what is Russell Wilson great at?
Running,
scrambling, and doing stuff like Mahomes. Making stuff up on his own. Just freestyling stuff. That's when he's at his best. We've seen flashes when we need it, but the thing with him, like we played the Texans a couple weeks ago, we had 6 delay of game penalties, 3 of whom we missed, we didn't get called for because we had to use all 3 of our timeouts in the third quarter to avoid getting them at home.
Oh, Lord.
He couldn't get the play call in. And Russ is sitting there going come on, what's the play call? And the fans even memed our team so hard. Our home fans at home, when we have home games now, they count down the play clock from 30 all the way down so that the offense knows, hey, you guys got to get going. And the announcers were laughing and saying, well, I've never heard a fan base count down the play clock before.
Hey, I got to give him credit. That's playing the 12th man right there.
It's and they've been booing us so much. It's just, I thought once we got Russ, it was going to be offensive explosion, and it's just been.
Well, I try to avoid the F-bombs on here, but it's a cluster F from what it sounds like. And it's a cluster F in our booth, too, in Chicago. It's like, I know it's a transition year, but come on. You are being stupid right now with play calling and decisions.
I'll say this about Chicago, and then I'm going to have to go here soon. But I've never seen a franchise have so much issue with the offensive side of the ball. I just have not. They've been so inept at offense for the longest time. It's like, at that point, is it really the coaches, or is it just the franchise and who's running the Bears as a whole?
It's the McCaskies. It's ownership. The McCaskies. Virginia McCaskey. I mean, she's pretty much. I'd like to think it'll change when she passes away, because she pretty much already has one foot in the grave already. I think she's 99 years old, but even so, it'll just go down to her kids. And her son Mike, he's already I think he's the vice president of football or the president of football operations or the CEO, whatever. Ted Phillips, the president, he's retiring after this year. So we'll see if that makes a difference too. But yeah, it's like, how can you in 30 plus years, 36 years since your only Super Bowl, in the whole time that I've been alive, how can you not get your offense figured out?
The
And
fact that Jay Cutler holds numerous Bears quarterback records says a lot about your franchise.
yeah,
That says a lot.
and meanwhile, up north in Green Bay, they've only had 2 quarterbacks in the last 35 years. But
And I know that drives Bears fans insane.
Yeah. And I hate Aaron Rodgers, not just because he's a good football player, but he's just a crappy person. But I digress.
He looks like he's fallen off. So I mean, he looks like he's got a little rust on the wheel. So hopefully you guys won't have to deal with it for too long. But hey, even the Lions got their offense figured out. I think they have like the number 1 offense in the NFL right now. They just have the worst defense in the NFL.
And honestly, going back to Chicago, why would they care? That franchise makes billions of dollars. They're like one of the most valuable sports franchises in all the world. Like number 12, I think. Something ridiculous. Something that high. So, but anyway, I think that's a good place to call it, dude. So you get to watching your game, and we'll see you next week. And
I might need you in an hour or so, Sean, to help me walk away from the bridge. I might need that, man. I might need that. So,
who are they playing tonight?
The Colts. So hopefully it should be an easy win. Knock on wood. It should be. But
I'll try to be on standby. So, all right, dude. Well, thank you.
Right, man.
Thank you for being here. Thank you to everyone who showed up. And so we will talk to you guys later. Go Irish. Beat BYU.